welcome back to the Sober Truth in Real Estate. I'm Ruth Ann Strauss with Hite and Company Real Estate.
And I am Keith Cooper with Direct Mortgage Loans, and welcome back.
Yeah.
We've been pretty consistent lately.
We have 3 weeks in a row.
I know.
Maybe four, actually four, because we did like the little tester. Then,
Well, we've been on a roll.
We have. We deserve an award for this.
I know, it's insane. How's your week been so far?
It's been good. Weather's been up and down, but with the few days of nice weather, we've seen more people calling, getting ready to list, getting ready to go look at homes, all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely getting there.
Yeah, I've noticed a definite increase. It's weird. It just kind of happened out of nowhere, but it's so weird because the market right now, and I talked about this earlier, the market right now is so volatile because of everything going on in Iran.
Yeah.
That, with the oil surging, and then they make a comment that we have a reserve and it's going from $100 a barrel down to 80, and then the market gets happy and the market improves. And then today there was something else. I don't even know what's going on. They made an announcement that they're gonna take 4 million barrels of, I don't know. I was trying to read it before I walked in here.
Yeah.
So that seems like it's a good thing, yet the market is just totally tanking today. So it's like today's rate is not tomorrow's rate, is what I try to tell everybody.
But it's still better than a couple years ago.
And that's the main thing. People are like, oh, the rates are going up again. Well, sure.
Yeah.
But they're not at 8% or
Exactly.
7.5% when they've gone up. Look, a government loan you can still get in the fives, upper fives. Conventional, you might be in the low to mid sixes. So
Still
they
good.
have ticked up a little, but when you look up the average mortgage rate and it's saying 6.3, 6.4, and then you get these goofy letters in the mail saying, call me for a 4% rate.
Yeah, how many points do you have to buy for
Right.
that?
Don't believe the hype because it's charging you out of the wazoo, or they're putting you into some arm loan that, it's just, I'll go back to what we used to say, date the rate and marry the house, because the rates will eventually start to fall.
Exactly. For the people watching, can you tell them really quickly what is an ARM rate?
Oh, sorry. So,
or an ARM mortgage?
Right. So most people, when they buy a home, they get a fixed 30-year mortgage.
Right.
Well, they do offer what's called adjustable rate mortgages. So, you can get a loan where the amortization or the loan is spread out over 30 years, but the rate is only fixed for maybe 3, 5, 7, or 10 years. Now, I don't want to get all involved in the benefits and all that stuff, but
that's a good basic.
Right, but the benefit within, I don't mind if people are interested in a government arm, because let's say, for instance, your start rate is 5.5, right? And it's fixed for 5 years. Well, after year 5, that rate can go as low as 4.5, or it can go up to 6.5. That's it. Now, based off of what you're going to owe in those 5 years, after those 5 years have elapsed, if you've done nothing and let that rate adjust, even if it goes to 6.5, your payment will maybe go up like $20, if that, because you've paid so much off. Now, if you're doing a conventional arm, and let's say your rate's fixed at, same thing, 5.5 for 5, 7, or 10 years. The issue is when that rate adjusts, if you're at 5.5, your first adjustment might take you to 7.5.
Oof.
And that's all the things that went bad, because with a government loan, you're never stuck, right? You can always streamline out of it where you don't need an appraisal. But God forbid your value goes down, or you lost some equity and you're in a conventional loan, they used to sell these 228 arms where the rate was fixed for 2 years and then it would go up 2 points, 3 points.
Yeah.
That's why everybody in '08 was doing not bankruptcy, they were doing foreclosure, short sales because
They got into those loans.
they were
couldn't
fixed for
pay it.
2 years.
Yeah.
And then when the values all started going backwards and the rate went up from 6 to 8, they couldn't make the payment and they couldn't refinance out of it.
Yeah.
But if you're in a government loan,
And
that's,
clarify that government loan, is that FHA?
yeah,
FBA?
FHA or VA.
Got it,
If you're
okay.
in one of those loans, even if the value went backwards $100,000, you're never going to be stuck to where you can't do anything because you can, as long as you're current on the loan, you can streamline, which is no income documentation, no appraisal, no nothing.
Yeah.
So in those cases, yeah, it might make more sense because you are getting a lower rate. And then, God forbid, even if the value went haywire, you're never stuck to where you can't get out of it.
Okay.
So that's just that on ARMs or adjustable rate loans versus, fixed rate. I mean, obviously everybody should be aiming to a fixed rate
Right.
loan.
You know what your rate's going to be for
Right.
the rest of those 30 years
Right.
until you refinance.
Now, there are people that are buying their first home or whatever and they know, I'm buying this home and I will not be here in 5 years.
Yeah.
In that case, well, okay,
Get
if
that
you
lower
know
rate.
you're gone,
Yeah.
there's no chance of you staying or
Like military
keeping it-
personnel,
yeah.
they're going to get moved every 3-4
Right.
years. Why not?
Exactly. So why not maybe go for the lower rate if you can?
Okay.
But-
So since we're talking about that, especially with the first time home buyers, which is what we wanted to talk about today.
Right. We're kind of
No, we always do.
segueing into our
That's how we
topic
roll.
here.
What I have a case study, clients that are looking at a VA loan. They're looking at an ARM and they're going back and forth trying to decide, do they want the ARM or do they want the fixed? We're trying to figure out with a VA loan, are they able to do what you've said about a recast? So tell the people watching, what is a recast of a loan? What does that mean?
So when you do a recast, unfortunately, you can only do it on a conventional loan.
Ah, okay.
So if you're doing a recast, and let's say you buy a house for $300,000 and you put the very minimum down just to get into the home,
Right.
and then 6 months later you sell your home, and now you have $100,000 that you netted from the sale.
Gotcha.
Well, if you wanted to take that $100,000 and throw it down on the principal balance, normally the only thing that happens is your balance goes down and your time kind of recalibrates.
Right. But your payment stays the same.
But your payment will stay the same. Just like on a car, if you throw extra down, your payment doesn't go down, but
Right.
you're paying it off quicker. Same concept. So what they've done is, and you're allowed to do it one time per loan you have. So in that situation, if you have $100,000 and you decide, hey, I want to throw it down on principal, you're allowed to do what's called a recast of not only the balance and the term, but also the payment. So for instance, if you throw $100,000 down, not only will the balance go down, but also your payment would go down accordingly, which is maybe $500 in that case.
Which is helpful.
But on a government loan, you cannot do a recast, but again, same situation, you buy, then you sell, right? And you have money sitting there.
Yeah.
Well, yes, you can't do a recast, but like I said, you can do one of those streamlined VA interest rate reduction loan refinances where, again, there's no appraisal, there's no income documents, there's no bank statements. It's literally just streamlined. Now you are setting up a new loan, but the closing costs are so minimal.
Yeah.
And then you set up your new loan and you have $100,000, you just bring that to the table, and now you've basically done the same thing.
So you've done like a refinance without having to go back through all the paperwork.
Well, you got to go
Rules.
through, there is paperwork,
Some,
but it's
yeah.
such an easy loan. Like, you're not waiting on an appraisal. You're not worried about if your income is to the penny or whatever it may be. As long as you're current on the loan, you can refinance and you're basically just lowering your rate. Yeah, there is paperwork because it's a new loan, but it's so simple and easy.
Okay. So, with the first time home buyers, like what is the loan that you would kind of recommend to all of them? Is it going to always be that 30-year fixed?
Well, yeah, here's the thing, and this is what I always try to ask even move up buyers or move down buyers if they haven't purchased in a while. If you can find out three things from a buyer, then you can make everybody's life so much easier. Because what buyers do, they'll drive around, they'll see a home online, look at the estimated payment.
Which is crazy. Don't look at the estimated payment. Let me just
Yeah.
segue right there. The estimated payment is insane. Those are based off somebody with an 800 credit score with really, really strong income, and then that's putting down 20%. So when you see that estimated payment type thing,
right,
that's crazy. Don't look at that. That is not going to be your payment. People tell you your payment.
Yeah, but people, will look at that,
right,
and the taxes are 90% of the time wrong.
Yeah.
The whole thing's misleading.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll go out to a home and see a $500,000 home that they fall in love with. And then you've taken them out 6 times, and then they talk to a lender and say, well, you are approved, but here's the payment. And they don't
know.
Right. So to make not only the buyer's life and the agent's life a lot easier, all you got to do is ask 3 simple things. What county are you looking in? That way you can get a feel of what the property taxes are going to be. Where are you comfortable with a payment?
Right.
And how much money are you think you're working with? Once you know those 3 things, you can back right into a purchase price.
Yeah.
And then the agent knows exactly where they are, an idea of what area they want to be in and what price homes to show them.
Yeah.
Now, if they decide, hey, they want to go up, that's on them, but at least they know what the outcome of that's going to be.
Yeah.
So, and again, it all depends. There's some first-time buyers that have a ton of money.
Yeah. Saved up for years at mom and dad's house.
Yeah, they've saved up, or their parents are giving them a large gift, or, who knows what the case. Or some people might have a good credit score of like a 700, but not a lot of money down.
Yeah.
And you can do a conventional loan with 3% down, or you can do an FHA loan with 3.5% down.
Yeah.
Because FHA first isn't just for first-time buyers, but it is a low down payment loan, and generally those rates are going to be lower than conventional rates. And it's a lender's job to kind of compare and contrast. Okay, here's what's important to you, right? You don't have really any money. So, okay, we need to either get money from the seller, get down payment assistance, or whatever it is to make sure that we can get to where you want to be as far as payment with the money that you're working with.
And that all takes like one huge thing, communication.
Right. It's just having a conversation.
It's got to be open and honest communication. Like the realtor and the lender are basically sworn to keep that information secret. Like we're not going to go out and tell everybody how much you make or how much money you're working with. We can't do that, but we need to know those things. Otherwise the agent can't negotiate a contract with a listing agent if we don't know what we're working with. Like case study, like we have right now, we have a short sale that's under contract, and there's a lot of back and forth between the short sale negotiator, the listing agent, myself as the buyer's agent. And we need to know exactly how much money the buyers are working with, like to pay the closing costs. We need to know how much their budget is, where the monthly payment's going to be, what the total price is, so we can figure out a way to make it all work.
Right.
So I think a lot of buyers out there are really hesitant to share that kind of financial information, but they need to know that that is completely kept, lock and key. That's not going anywhere. We're not going to shout from the rooftops what you're making. It's nobody's business, but we need to know to help and advocate for you and negotiate on your behalf.
Right. We're not selling anybody's information, and some people get embarrassed or whatever. And look,
We don't judge.
There's no right or wrong answer. You
Yeah.
know, I have people that I've spoken with that make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year that don't want a payment over 1,500 a month. And then you speak to someone that makes 80 grand a year and they're okay with a $3,000 payment.
Yeah.
So there's no right or wrong answer, but it's a lot better than you just submitting some documents through a portal and then having somebody in a week sometimes spit a pre-approval letter back.
Because they don't know.
It just tells you, here, you're pre-approved up to here. It doesn't tell you what the payment is,
Yep.
how much money you need, or anything.
And we see that with banks all the time. I have so many buyers that I meet with that are like, oh, here's my pre-approval letter. And I take it and I start reading it. I'm like, well, no, this is a pre-qualification. They're going based off you saying that your credit score is a 700. They're going off you saying that your income is 70,000 a year, and you saying that this is all true and factual. But they're not giving a payment. They're not giving a rate. They're not giving any of those kinds of things. So the buyer always thinks, well, it says on here pre-approved for 500,000. It's like, whoo, let's talk about that though. Like,
Right.
And plus a lot of buyers don't realize that they might have other income that's usable that somebody like you would find out for them. Like,
Right.
oh, you're getting alimony. Okay, well, we can add that to your income. Oh, you have another property that you rent out. Well, shoot, there's income. So there's income that people don't know that they have, or like when you have a hourly employee that's getting a whole lot of overtime, like that's stuff that the lender needs to really figure out and use.
Right, because not all your income, unfortunately, is 100% usable.
Right.
And let's be honest, when most people think about money they need or assets, all they're thinking is what's in my checking or savings.
Yeah.
They're not
401ks, come on.
Yeah, they're not looking at IRA, 401k, a gift, down payment assist, whatever it might be. But, you know, it's also, you bring up credit. Credit is made to be ran, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants their credit run. No,
It's
everybody
frightening.
wants
The hard pull word. Don't say the hard
yeah,
pull.
They want a soft pull. They don't want
Yeah.
this. Well, here's the reality. And we kind of touched on this. Every industry has different algorithms that they look
Yeah.
at. So if you go buy a car, your credit's going to look way different than if a lender pulls it. Because when you're buying a car or looking at Credit Karma, all they're really doing is just looking at one-time payments.
Right.
That if you ever been late.
Total
then-
credit limit.
Yeah, and then when a lender looks at it, they're looking at, besides that stuff, they're looking at your utilization and collections and things like that. So your best bet, and look, if a lender, a normal lender is doing a soft pull, there's no difference. They're still going to get your 3 mortgage scores, and it's going to appear that way whether they do a soft pull, a hard pull, whatever it is. Especially if they've never had their credit run by a lender, they have no idea where it is. So don't be afraid to have a lender look at your credit. It is what it's meant for, and you need to have somebody look at it to get to your end goal.
Well, they all believe this like lie that, oh my God, they're going to do a hard pull on my credit and I'm going to lose like 40 points.
And that's
No.
not it. Why your
No.
score went down 40 points
Yeah.
is not because I pulled it. It's because you've got 3 credit cards that are all maxed out, even though you've never been late once.
Yeah.
So there's different things that can cause your credit to look differently. But a lot of times it's an easy fix. I talked to 2 people today. One got their credit from a 630 to a 676. Another guy just was talking to got his credit from like a 620 to a 660. So be careful about these credit repair companies.
Oh
And
yeah. Charge you a lot of money and don't do anything that you can't do yourself.
yeah, they're charging you money, or they're telling you to stop paying on your credit cards, which is
Crazy.
mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Because that's just destroying your credit. It's
Yeah.
not helping you at all.
The only thing that shocked me was like, I didn't understand this before real estate. And, you know, I'd be like, oh, let me just pay off and close that account out.
Mm.
Oh, no. I learned a hard lesson.
Yeah.
That actually made my credit score drop because of that. Because they're also looking at like the number of accounts you have and what different types of accounts you have. When you look at like Credit Karma and it's guiding you on that, it's like 10 accounts or more is a good thing, because now the credit companies know how you actually behave. They can't base your behavior off your one credit card, but they can base it off your personal loan, your automobile loan, your mortgage, your consumer
Right.
credit cards, all of that makes a stronger, bigger picture than like one card will show them. So like
Yeah,
it's
like
weird things like that.
yeah, like normally if you have a couple to a few trade lines, that's going to be more than enough to establish your score. Now,
Yeah.
what happens is people, they think, oh, I'm going to pay my car off and my credit's going to go up 50 points.
I did it last year.
Right. So unfortunately, you're paying off an installment loan.
Yeah.
Like there's different types of liabilities. You have your installment debt, which is fixed for a period of time. And then you have your revolving debt, which is like a credit card or a revolving line of credit. Well, if you're paying off a car just to pay it off because you think you're going to improve your credit, well, anytime you open or close an account, it'll
Hurts.
ding you.
Yeah.
So if you don't have to pay off the car, do it after if you have to pay off your car to get your debt ratio down, let them pull the credit first,
Then pay it.
then pay it off, and then we'll get a supplement showing it's paid off.
Okay.
That way it won't hurt your score. And
Good facts.
yeah, and then with revolving debt, like
Yeah.
credit cards,
You pay it off, but you don't close the account.
yeah,
so it's
if
not
you
a big
want to
deal.
pay it down to zero, do that. Pay it
Yeah.
down to 20%, you'll get the same result. Just don't close it and don't open new stuff if you know you're making a home purchase, because that stuff will ding your scores. A lot of people don't know that. They think,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to pay this, student loan off and my score's going to go up 30 points. Well, it really just hurt it because now you're closing an account.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's a lot to, and this is not even just for first time buyers, but it's for any buyer that's going to buy a home, because again, until a lender actually looks at your credit, you're not going to really know
What it is.
what the score is.
Right. And then the bigger thing, especially for first time home buyers, is it's not even about that purchase price. It's about that monthly payment, because you and I talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
Like we have our current clients that we have been going back and forth with negotiations. And when they saw the payment go up on a different price, they were like, no, that goes above our cutoff. So it's like that they have to understand that even though you're pre-approved for that much, you might only want to spend so much because you want to go on vacations. You want to make sure you have a little extra cushion in there, because being a homeowner, especially first-time homeowners, they learn the hard way. Things pop up. And unlike in a rental, when something breaks, guess who's paying to replace it? You are. Like,
Right.
and it's unforeseen things like that. So when they buy at the top of their budget and now their dishwasher goes up, they're like freaking out and stressed out. So that's why it's utterly important to go find out the payment. What is the comfortable payment for you before you just go and say, oh, well, I'm pre-approved for 400. Let's buy it 400.
Right. And just to piggyback on that, what I always tell buyers is, look, your credit, all that it tells me is if you have auto loans, student loans, credit cards, doesn't, like you mentioned, it doesn't say how often you like to travel or go out to eat or shop or whatever it might be. Only the buyer knows that.
Right.
So that's why I always want to get to a comfort level, and then it's up to the buyer. It should never be up to the lender or realtor. Well, you need to go up or you need to do this. It's where are you comfortable? That's really what matters, regardless of what anyone else is saying.
Yeah. And if your realtor's telling you that, get a new realtor. I
Right.
always tell my clients, I'm like, are you comfortable with that? Like, I don't care what you do. Just tell me, because I want you to be happy in 6 months. I don't want to get a phone call in 6 months that you need to sell because you can't afford your home.
Yeah,
Like, ever.
I have a guy right now, he bought almost 3 years ago, and he bought like a 650 some $1,000 house. The payments like over $5,000. And now they decide they want to sell and they don't want a payment over $3,000.
Don't blame them.
So it's like everybody has their own niches that they want. They have their own needs and wants. Everybody's different. That's why, people call me and say, well, my brother bought or my uncle's best friend bought.
Who cares what your family did?
Right.
Your friends did.
Every buyer, every loan is different.
Yeah.
Because everybody has different needs and wants.
Different incomes, different credit scores. They're going to have different rates. They're
Yeah.
different wants and needs. Just like every house isn't made perfectly and everybody wants that exact same house. There's different houses for a reason because people have different taste.
Exactly. That's why I say there's no right or wrong answer in what somebody may want to do, but
honest answers are helpful.
yeah, and that's why it's important to be honest with
Yeah.
your lender and listen to the questions they're asking and really think about it, because people, like, I'll ask people, where are you comfortable with the payment? Like, I haven't even thought about it. Well, you got to
Kind of
know
important.
something up front.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're just shooting in the dark.
I know. It's funny, they'll say that and then you throw a number at them and they're like, ooh, that's too high. It's like, okay, so you have thought about it.
Mhm.
There are boundaries here.
Or I'm not concerned with the payment. Okay, so $5,000 a month. Well,
Right.
you have some concern.
I'd rather them say they're not concerned with the rate, because you and I've seen over the years the people that only care about the rate, and you and I are banging our heads against the wall like, why does the rate matter? The payment matters. Like, get the rate.
Yeah, because think about it. If you are okay with a $2,500 payment and the rate's 15%, but your payment's $2,400,
And you love the house.
and you love the house, who cares? The rate is temporary.
Yeah.
At some point, you're going to either sell, refinance, or whatever it might be. But don't worry so much about the rate. Worry more about getting to where you want your payment to
Right,
be.
or where you want to live. So many people get stuck on those numbers, and like I have to remind them of the why. Why are we doing this in the first
Yeah.
place? Oh, you wanted your kids in the school district. So let's let go of that whole rate thing. Do you want your kids in that school district? Okay, let's go.
Yeah, look, the rate will work itself out, but if your lender can get you to your comfort level on payment, that's the main thing. If the payment's right and you have enough money to do it, yeah, the rate is important, but
Yeah.
it'll work itself out. Don't get so hung up on the rate, because you don't pay your bills. Technically you do, but you're paying your bills with cash based off of what the payment is. Nobody cares what the rate is.
Yeah.
So if you're comfortable with it, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Lots for first-time homebuyers to think about.
Yeah, there really is, because it is an exciting time,
It
but
is.
it can be, it can get stressful. It
It's
can get
overwhelming.
overwhelming.
But again, prep. We talked last time about prep. If
Right.
they're prepping, getting all of these documents, doing their homework, asking questions about these kinds of things, and they get all of that information, it is so much less stressful for a first-time homebuyer, because
my
they
God.
get it and they're like, all right, we're going to let you two handle it and do your jobs. Here's what we need. Here's what we want. Here's our boundaries. Go do your thing. And that's
Yeah.
when you and I flourish.
Right, versus coming in and just talking to a realtor. Oh, I saw this, I like that, and
Yeah.
you're driving across the state.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's narrow it down to a place
Yeah.
and a payment, right? And it'll make all our lives easier, because the realtor who is out driving, showing homes, isn't wasting all their gas driving from one end to the other end. They know they're in the right area where the buyer wants to be, and the houses that you're showing them, based off of what the lender said, should put your payment right where you want. Now,
Yeah.
if you don't see anything you like here, well, then maybe we pivot and we're okay going up another $100. It might open up a whole new world.
Yeah, and that's always the difficult part, though. Like you said, like driving all over the place when they don't even know like what area they want to live in. Because believe me, I've had clients from out of state that we looked in Southern Maryland, Frederick, up to Cockeysville. We were all over the Maryland map. And one of the things that I had to remind them is like, sure, you might like this house over here, but do you like the area? So my homework task for them was do a day trip. I want you to go spend time in each of those areas, checking out shopping, local
Right.
malls, local parks. You're about to have a kid. Go check out the area, not so much the house. Then tell me which area. And they ended up being like, all right, we love the feel of Southern Maryland. All right, now I can work with you.
Right.
It's really hard to express that with people.
Yeah, and people, like, it's almost like they're afraid, not afraid, but they don't want to feel like but that's our job. Like,
Yeah.
we're asking you these questions,
Because we've done this.
not just to
Few
be a
times.
pain in the butt, but we're asking to make the whole process a little bit easier and smoother for
Right.
you.
Well, they get fixated on a certain house they saw online, and it's like,
Right.
we can find a house like that in any area. Pick the area first. Like,
Right, but then if
It's
you
hard.
get, and that's the problem, people get fixated on a home, and then every other home they're
doesn't measure up.
comparing to
Yeah,
that,
that's hard.
and that's the problem when they're approved for that home, but the payment isn't where they want it to be. So now every other home, oh, but it's not like that one, and it's not
Right.
like,
But you can't even compare across counties either, because like, let's say a house in Howard County versus Calvert County, same home purchase price, it's going to be a different monthly payment because of taxes being so different from Howard County versus like Calvert County. Or you and I had VA buyers where it's like a lot was based off the income of the area. I don't know if you remember that one, but
Oh,
it
yeah.
made a huge difference in payment. Like their purchase power was different in one county versus another county. So there's like so many different factors in that. And that's why it's not like the realtor's necessarily just trying to protect our time or our gas money. There's a lot that goes into this, and you just got to entrust that we're doing this for a reason. We're asking you to pick at least a county for a reason, because we know that there's these other factors that are going to change everything when you're looking over county lines or state lines.
right, and people think, oh, I'm going to buy a house today, and
Yeah.
they're like, okay, I'm going to find a realtor and then go look at a house, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's just so much. I mean, again, you're buying. Most people, it's the largest purchase that you'll ever have.
Yeah.
And like you said, like if you're approved at $250,000, and that keeps your payment comfortable, and you're looking in the city,
Yeah.
well, in the county, because the taxes are so much higher, in the county, you might be able to get more house
Than in the city.
than you could in the city. You could go up in price. Like,
Absolutely.
there's so many different things to consider, because like I'll ask people, what area do you want to be in? And they'll be like, I'm not sure, I'm thinking this county versus this county. And then you can say, well, over here, you're probably going to find lower property taxes.
Yeah.
And people will remember that when they're out looking at homes. So,
Yeah.
it's like I always say, knowledge truly is power.
Oh, yeah.
And when you're buying a home, it's
Huge.
It's not like just going to the rack, picking up a shirt. Hey, I like it. It's the right size. Let's go home.
Yeah.
It's a process, and it's
Huge
not.
differences.
Yeah, it's not going to happen over. It might take a few times to go out and find the right place.
Of course it will, but it's so much less of your time, stress, and falling in love with homes and then realizing you can't get them when you do that prep work. When you talk to the lender and really
Oh
figure
my
out which
God.
county, which area. Like I've had clients that are looking in both Maryland and Pennsylvania, and there's a huge tax difference. So like, yeah, this house in Maryland right across the Pennsylvania line is $100,000 less, but guess what? Your taxes are like, way, way more, because they have the school tax, the county tax, the local tax, they have all these different taxes that make your monthly payment about the same, even though the price of the home is a lot cheaper. So there's a lot of things that factor into it. People really got to know all that information up front before they just go and say, oh, hey, I can buy that house because it's so much cheaper than Maryland. The payment's still going to be the same.
I get people all the time. They're like, oh, I can't find anything in Maryland. I'm going to go over the line. Why is that? Because I'm going to get more house. And I'm like, well, if you're looking at $250 in Maryland, you might want to reconsider when you get the PA, because like you said, the school tax is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So the grass isn't always greener.
And we're not putting Pennsylvania down.
Yeah, no, not
it's
at
just
all.
the facts. The facts
Yeah,
are.
it's just facts that, Pennsylvania as a state has a school tax, which, it's pretty high. They have great schools, and there's a reason. But a lot of different counties, even in your own state, differ tremendously.
Yeah. That's why I use Calvert and Howard as examples, because it's night and day.
Right. Like, I talk about this one story. It happened like a year or two ago. A buyer got approved for like $500. They found a home, and then they decided to get a second opinion, and they talked to me, and I said, and they went under contract. And I said, oh, congratulations, that's awesome. I was like, just out of curiosity, did the credit union ever tell you what your payment was?
Oh,
And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, what, have you thought about where you wanted a payment? And they said, oh yeah, we want to be here, which was not happening on this house.
oh,
And then I said, and how much money were you working with? And they said, well, we have X. And they needed a lot more than that. And again, if you're not told anything, you could set yourself up for
losing
a lot
your
of
EMD, your time.
losing money,
Yeah.
heartache, time. It's
Yeah.
just take the extra step.
Yeah.
And block out some time and get a proper pre-approval.
It'll save them so much time on the back end too. Like if you do all that stuff up front, you're going to save time out doing showings, looking at homes you don't actually want to buy. You're going to save a lot of time with back and forth, maybe going under contract and having to come out. Like there's just so much to it that they don't realize.
Right, because once a lender, like after I talk to a buyer and I get all their, their ducks in a row, their I's dotted, their T's crossed, and I find out exactly where they want to be, well, then I immediately call the agent. All right, here's what they want. They want to be in blank county. They don't want a payment over 2, and they have $25K to work with. I think their sweet spot's right around 280, whatever the number is. Then the realtor has all the information they could possibly
We need all that
need.
too.
When they call the buyer, they're like, all right, I found 5 homes in this part of Baltimore County, no more than 280. And now the realtor has a plan.
Yeah.
You all have a game plan to find, at least to start.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
we need more than even just a game plan because sometimes the game plan changes. So like
Oh, yeah.
let's say we've got our first time home buyers, we're out looking at homes, we're only thinking about, a fixed rate conventional loan, but then they see a home that they love, but it needs some work and they don't have the money to do that work. Now we're talking about, okay, so can we do a 203K loan? Like what other options are there? Or just depending on the situation, you can now raise the purchase price and ask for seller concessions to help with your closing costs, leaving more money in your pocket to do those repairs. So like all of that information is so important
Oh,
to
it's
have
huge.
because then we can shift as the goal changes. If the goal changes a little bit, since we have all of that, we can now shift and say, okay, so we're going to do this. Here's our new game plan. Like
Right.
that
but
stuff
at least,
happens all the time.
Yeah, but at least you have like a benchmark. You have
Yeah.
a base, and then okay, well, we can build off of that, right? Like
Yeah.
if we got a pivot, or you decide, hey, I'm willing to go, or I got another 10 grand. Okay, well now we can go up to here. But again, all the areas stays the same.
Yeah.
The payment that you wanted, all that stays the same, but now we can go up or whatever it might be. But the more information a lender and their realtor partner have, it's just going to make everything just run 10 times smoother.
I know. It's like a superhero. Those are the powers you give us. And the more powers we have,
Right.
the more superhero we are. Like we need all of this information to give us the power to negotiate, to figure things out, to make new game plans, to pivot, to do all the stuff. Like it all just really helps a lot. Like the perfect scenario with first-time home buyers is coming to us with all of your documents, your income, your equity, your credit, like everything you may have, all of that together and building us a picture of that, knowing your location, knowing what type of house in general you're looking for, because people change that.
Right.
We go out looking for a single family home all day long and they find this townhouse they love. So you never know exactly what you're going to end up shifting to, but all of that information makes it so much easier for you and I to make that shift, to be like, okay, now we don't have to sit down and come up with a whole new game plan. We can just alter it a little bit and it's going to work out for our buyers.
Right. And it just, I can't even tell you how much time it's going to save.
Oh yeah. Well, everybody.
Like everybody, again, every loan is different.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important. Everybody wants to do everything electronically, and that's great when you can get to that point.
Yeah.
But until you're able to, okay, I need these documents, and you can communicate without having to call them every second. But
Yeah.
you gotta have that conversation.
Yeah.
Because everybody's different, and just because your friend bought, this $500,000 home in this neighborhood, doesn't mean that that's what you want.
Yeah.
You might have better credit, or you might want a lower payment, or you may not have X. There's so many variables that no two transactions are identical.
No, not at all. And then one of the things I've seen with like first time home buyers is yes, we do. You were talking about doing things electronically. We do a lot of this electronically, all the documents and all of that. There's nothing wrong with asking your realtor to sit and explain those documents
Oh
because
my God.
I see it all the time. And like I tell my clients, look, we can do it that way where I just send you everything in a brief synopsis of what's in each document. But please call me if you want to talk about it. I've had the ones that are like, no, Roseanne, we really want to go through it. And I'm like, I feel better. I feel better when I can sit and go through page by page. Here's what you're signing. Page by page. Here's what this means. Because then we're all on the same page. Everybody really understands. I feel like a lot of times the first time homebuyers or any homebuyers for that matter are signing the documents electronically. They're really not really reading it. Like I have the ones that do, and they'll call me, hey, Rutham, page 3, line 34. What is this? And I'm like, okay, cool. Let me explain that to you. But I feel like so many get pressured by their agent. Oh, just sign this. Just sign this. We got it. We talked about this. Just sign this. It's like, no.
And that's
Ask the questions.
right. Like, because when you're doing that, people get this impression that, all right, why don't they want me to
Right.
read?
What is shady?
And then you start having negative doubts, and then there's no trust, and then the whole deal just falls apart for whatever reason.
That they remember better. When I'm sitting with my clients and I'm going through the contract, I'm like, hey, we have 5 days to turn in the earnest money deposit. Let me explain to you how those days are counted. Today is 0, tomorrow is 1, 2. When I go through that with them, they remember it better
Right.
than when I just send an email that says, hey, here's this, here's that, here's that. Good luck remembering that, sign all this paperwork.
Yeah, and people, whether they believe it or not, the more they know, the better off they're going to be.
Yeah.
And I find that once they do start communicating, they feel better, they loosen up, they'll ask questions, which is, the more involved all parties are, that also makes it a lot
absolutely.
easier.
I had the best one ever last night. People I know, I'm not going to name names or drop any hints, but people I know are selling a home off market to other people they know as the buyers, and the buyers are unrepresented, and I'm representing the seller. And myself, the sellers and buyers sat down at a table last night and hashed out all of the paperwork together. It took a few hours, but I felt good because everybody understood everything at the end of it. Everybody understood what their roles were and how it all came together and what everybody needed to do. So like that in-person stuff, especially for a first-time home buyer, is like uber important. I feel like
people just they appreciate it. Like they feel like it takes sometimes forever to get them on the phone, or they're playing phone tag, and it's because they some people feel like they're going to be embarrassed because they don't know. But again, we don't expect people to know anything.
No.
Just like I'm not going to go, build an engine because I saw a YouTube video on buying a car.
Exactly. I tell my clients, like the first 3 months that I was a licensed realtor, I refused to speak to a client or a lead because I needed to use those 3 months to learn all of our contracts. And that's what I sat and did.
Right.
I would pull out one of the contracts, and believe me, for Maryland, we have a main contract and about 13, 14 different addendums that go with it.
Right.
So I sat first day with the main contract and just read line by line. And then I paraphrased it, put it all in writing, the like paraphrasing of these contracts so that I really knew them enough that if my clients had a question, I could be, oh, here's what it means. And like that knowledge was power.
Oh.
And I tell my clients, you didn't spend 3 months reading these. I did. This is why you're okay to ask me questions. I can't expect you to know all these things.
Right. Like people come to us because they want guidance, but that's great. But you also got to take our advice, listen. And look, I like to give options. I don't like to pigeonhole people, but to kind of wrap this whole thing up with first-time buyers is ask questions,
and trust in the process.
And think about, where do you want your payment? How much money are you working with? And where you want to be? I'm telling you, those 3 things, it's going to make everybody's life simple. It's not that complicated, but people get all caught up in, well, what's the max I can buy? Well, who cares?
Don't buy
unless you want to frame it and brag about it. Because most people don't want to buy at their max because they don't want a payment that high.
And if you want to frame it and brag about it, just go into Canva and create your own
Right.
pre-approval
Here
letter.
you go.
Go ahead and frame
You're good to go up to $1 million.
Right,
but
right.
you
Have fun
would
with
not want that payment.
No. Mm-mm.
So,
No.
yeah, first time buyers, it's a lot, but they make up a big pool of buyers, and it's important that they really know what they're getting into. And it's not scary, it is exciting, but it can be a little overwhelming. That's why you got to
Right, we're here.
speak and talk to people.
Yeah.
And
We try to take that stress away and that
Yeah,
overwhelming
I
feeling.
think we do, and I think
We're
we
good
do
at
a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, I eat everybody else's stress. So like I let my clients sleep well at night. Half the time they have no idea that things are on fire
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
putting out all the fires, and I just let them sleep well,
Right.
thinking everything is good and kosher. And until it actually is a problem, they don't know about it. When it becomes a problem, then it's a problem, and then I'm going to let them know, hey, here's what's going on. But I mean, I've also had the ones that love stress and thrive off it and want to know every little detail of what's going on. I'm like, sure, if that's what you want.
Right. I'd rather no news is good news,
Yep.
and that's the way it should go. But yeah, if you're a first time buyer, just, ask questions and think about what your goals are with buying a home, and it's just going to help. And
Yeah,
I think we might have a guest next week.
we do.
Oh, we do.
We have a guest next week.
Oh.
It is Amanda Milholland. Our office administrator is going to be with us to talk about how to choose a brokerage, what's important in choosing a brokerage, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so we're going to go a little bit more agent focused next week.
All right.
Yeah, so I got her on the books, and then I'm thinking we have the CEO of HCAR, Howard County Association of Realtors, would like to hop on our podcast. So I'm going to try to get her on in the next month. And
That
then
is
our
awesome.
brokerage brokers here would like to hop on too. So
Right. So
we got guests coming up.
a lot of knowledge and a lot of information. Please email us, call us if you have questions or just want to shoot the
Poop.
poop.
I'm censoring us.
Right. But thank you very much for joining us. I think this was a lot of information.
It was a lot in a short period of time. So go soak that in, people. Rewatch this if you need to, and call us with any questions.
Thank you guys. See you
Thank
next
you.
week.
Bye.
Peace.